Well, hello from the Aviva Stadium. It is party mode here right now, isn't it, Dave? Ireland have beaten Scotland 54 points to 5. Aaron King has just lifted the Siobhan Castigan trophy, and the players are doing a lap of honour here. Yeah, very much a party vibe, Dave, isn't it?
Yeah, the rain can't dampen the parade here. A sense of achievement, really, for Irish rugby and Irish women's rugby in terms of the record crowd today. Never seen a crowd like it at a women's rugby event in Ireland, and you know, I was just struck today by the journey this team and this sport has been on in the last not only 5 years but so many years, and all those players will be celebrated later this evening, as we know, in this stadium. But also a sense in an extraordinary first half against a poor Scottish team, but what may come in the future as we look ahead to a Six Nations where Ireland will hope to be a bit more competitive than challenging for third place,
Sure.
And even then beyond the World Cup. So a lot of mixed emotions today, but a celebration really of a very good team for the now.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, the record crowd, over 31,000 here today. That first half, I don't think I've ever seen quite a dominant first half. They scored 7 tries. We were looking at the record books going, oh my goodness, you know, how much of what is the record? But it was an incredible first half performance. And they talked about that all week, Dave. They wanted to get off to that fast start and they delivered it here.
Yeah, and like what impressed me most of all about the, Robin O'Connor started it with a barreling run and sent a poor Scot into the HIA territory, never emerged, and that just signalled the intent. And what really impressed me in that first half was slick attack play and playing in the right areas. Again, an utterly dominant maul. Fiona Tua dominating the line out in terms of setting up that set piece. But there was just that combination, and if they ever got in their own territory, it was very rare. I think 8% were down here. Dan O'Brien, siege gun boot, or putting in the right area. And then they played rugby when they had to. Some beautiful first phase, second phase play, and taking chances. Very clinical. I think the first error was the 20th minute. And that was a misconversion that we had a knock on. But it was power, it was speed, and it was accuracy, all done with intent. And the game was over after 20 minutes, 80 minutes, bonus points. But it was just the statement of intent from early on, and they delivered on their intentions during the week, and that's probably more impressive because they're having a couple of false starts. We know about England and we know about France, where they got a few things wrong, I think. So they have a lot to look forward to in terms of what they must build on. But today was quite impressive. I would not forgive the second half, and they should not forgive it either. But when a game is won so early, it's very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's not going to be a review of a game if we don't mention Aoife Wafer. And I think one of the biggest scores of the day was when she got her second and she did that swan dive. And Robin O'Connor, you mentioned her, she was again fantastic. She made that break up the pitch. But Aoife Wafer, her second weekend in a row that she got player of the match, we just heard her talk there, do the interview, the acclaim. I mean, everybody knows, even all these young supporters know Aoife Wafer.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there was a midfield break and Wafer was there again as support. And I think having just scored a wonderful try, actually, from a first phase line out over there after a scrum penalty. Scrum was brilliant all day. I think Stacey Flood was on Aoife's right hand shoulder, kind of gimme, and Aoife was like, no, affected a brilliant dummy and was unstoppable. And I mean, we have a Lions tour imminent, and I mean, you know, England will obviously dominate that, but I think Aoife Wafer will be a wonderful candidate to be a Lions captain.
Oh, she wants that. Yeah, she wants that. Yeah, for sure. And as you mentioned, kind of overall, so they got the 3 home wins. That's what they wanted. They slipped up in the final day last year, but they really just kind of met the occasion here today, didn't they? And there was pressure on them, Dave. Like, they knew what was coming here and they had to deliver it on that final day, and they did that.
Yeah, well, that will grow because they had that false ending
last year,
as you call it, last year. This time, I think first time since 20 they won 3, but obviously a different Triple Crown is coming into focus. They have England, France home next year. I would demand they play here. Now, they may not get, I've seen this with the Irish women's soccer team, where they had a 35,000 crowd here after the World Cup of 23. They haven't built on that since, missed out in the major tournament. But Ireland need to build on this as well.
Yeah, Dave, you have that experience of both of those national teams. As you say, yeah, they need to build on that. And
well, they do. And I mean, I would, if I'm Scott Beeman and the people and I'd be demanding that they're back here. They only have 2 games in the championship here next year. Now, obviously, schedules and men will intervene, but they have England, France here. England are they're playing at the moment in that Grand Slam decider, but they are a very different side in between the World Cup cycle with all their pregnancy and injury issues at the moment in terms of absent players. France are not the force they were. So Ireland should demand a triple crown next season. And I would play both games here if possible.
Well, it's my understanding that the England game will be held here. It hasn't been confirmed yet, and I believe that the France game is being lined up for the Dexcom Stadium in Galway. Again, that is yet to be confirmed yet. But England will bring their support, as well, won't they, for that Red Roses game?
Well, indeed, and that's when expectations
rise.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that's where they should be.
Yeah, Scott Beeman is he's impressed me as a coach, and the team have impressed me. The only again we have to you're always. Because we're watching this game so long, but we have caveats. I mean, the team has been relatively unchanged throughout the campaign, and he likes his bomb squad coming on. It was a front 5 bomb squad today after an error. What lies beneath? That's just a query for me. Now we've seen players like Robin O'Connor has came into
4
this campaign,
debutants. He's made 4 debutants in this championship.
So that's not bad
solid,
for the campaign where they built on promise of last year. So that strength and depth is just always the concern in any kind of team. But the consistency of approach, though, there's an identity about them now. The way they play, they don't overplay. They have been guilty of that in the past. This team, they don't overplay. They get Dana and with Emily to play down in the right areas. They play then when they need to, and they can do it brilliantly from there. They can force mistakes and counter-attack, and their line out, their forward. Their set piece and their, as you wrote about it this weekend, the back row is superb.
Yeah, absolutely superb. Thanks for that, Dave.